All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Coaches Show. The Greenbacks once again pick up a victory, and a big one at that, Coach. 70-0 over the Larned Indians at home on Zerger Field Friday night. Moved to 3-0 now on the season, and third shutout in your history here as the Greenbacks coach. Yeah, picked up your third shutout. It was the first one since Nickerson last year. Had that shutout against Nickerson last year, but that was number 2, and so this big 70-0 win over Larned. Number 3, a big game. I'll let you talk about it briefly, kind of overall, and then we'll dive into it. How to talk about that game?
You know, I thought we talked to the kids before the game that if you want to be great and you know there's some things you can do, or this is a game you should win, come out and act like it and take care of business. And you know, I thought we got a slow start. They got a couple first downs that first drive. I didn't think we were getting off the ball very well, but then I thought we picked it up. You know, we scored the first 2, and then I thought after Tay's long touchdown run where he, you know, almost slowed down to just hit a couple guys and knock them off. I thought we got going then, and then obviously, you know, it was the Owen Schmidt game, the second quarter.
I know. We'll get into that.
I'm sure we'll get into that. Had that, and I thought we executed. And then I was really proud of our younger kids coming in, maintaining the shutout, scoring a touchdown. I thought they did a good job coming in and playing hard as well.
It looked like in that first quarter, you tried a few things out in those first couple drives to kind of, it looked like anytime we set up in our traditional offense and decided to run the ball, it was like, okay, we can get a first down, and we did. Had to punt a time or two, but it looked like more of, because we were trying some things out offensively just to maybe run some plays that we haven't run in live game time. Was that kind of the setup in the...
We didn't punt.
Okay, we didn't punt. Okay.
But we went back to, hey, you know, we tried some stuff first, maybe second down, third down. Okay, we're going to go back to what we do if it didn't work. Yeah, I think when we've talked about this, we got to get our passing game going. We got way too many weapons, and we got too much talent back there to not get our passing game going. Obviously, we hit the long one to Owen. We missed the first play of the game.
That was a big one.
Tay wide open.
Bill Ray had a great shot of it. Did you see
right
it?
off his fingertips.
Right through him.
Yeah. So really close there. Wasn't a bad ball. Good route. And I thought Crescen's decision making was good. Had a great ball to Owen on the deep ball. So it's one of those things we try to get that. We're trying to get some of those kinks worked out. Kind of wish we would have ran more plays. You know, only ran 15 plays with our varsity offense in the first half. So one of those I thought we did a good job in limited plays.
Well, when 4 of those touchdowns come from the defensive side, it really limits your touches to the offensive side, and that was the big story of the night. Not only Owen Schmidt's performance, but the defense again as a whole, pitching a shutout. That defense is only allowing 8 points per game through 3 games, only giving up 170 yards per game, and just continues to show that it's a dominant force.
Right, and I think you think about the 8. One of those touchdowns was a strip
defensive touchdown. So
right. So even a little less than that. I thought our defense is playing well. You know, our D line is going to be tough to handle. They're long, they're physical, they got some athletes. We've been really good about timing our blitzes, but we've also been able to get pressure with 4. And I think, Owen said it right. He was interviewed several times this weekend, of course, and he was right in that pressure from the D line rushes the quarterback. They don't get their feet set. They rush their throw, and then that makes the D-back's job easier. And then I thought we did a good job of creating turnovers. That's been a big thing we've been working on every week in practice, having at least 10, 15, 20 minutes a week of turnover drills, trying to create turnovers, and we were able to create 5. So that's great anytime we can do that.
I think that 5, see if I got it here in my notes there. I think 5 may be the record for total turnovers in a game. I was trying to find all the records that may have been broken in that defensive performance. I know the 2 fumble recoveries in a single game. The defensive individual records look like they weren't really kept until 2002 for Pratt High. And the booklet I have was published in 2018. So I've got a bit of a gap there from 02 to 18. Okay, I do. I need to get the new one there. But Swinford in 2011 had 2 fumble recoveries is what I had for the record that Owen tied on that. As far as total turnovers, I didn't see one for that in the record book.
That one I don't know about. I know looking at Owen's obviously defensive touchdowns in the game. In fact, we think it may be a state record for defensive touchdowns in any game ever.
Yeah, those records, they're hard to find. They're hard to sort through.
They are, because defensive is just not as well kept as offensive. We know the state record was 3 interception returns for a game. And then the state record that they have, and going back all the way into the 70s for fumble returns in a game by a team is 2 for touchdowns. So obviously he matched that by himself, plus he had 2 interceptions. So we think if they can verify it, that's a new state record. Definitely, obviously, record in the quarter, I'm saying. And in fact, I submitted it nationally, in a quarter, 2 fumble returns. 3 is the record, and then there's like 12 or 13 nationally tied with 2. So he's going to be in that one. We sent that to NFHS, and then we think if they can verify it that the four defensive touchdowns in a quarter is a record.
Wow.
Maybe even nationally.
Wow.
So
wow was the word that was used a lot that night.
That was just and Owen did a great job of being there, making plays, but also, man, I mean, he was a ball magnet. Everything was our kids. Tay ripped 2 of those.
Yep.
Both fumble returns, Tay ripped, and Owen was Johnny on the spot, and then the first interception, we'd worked that play all week. Owen did a great job of breaking on that back screen and picking that one off with pressure from our D line. It also made him throw off his back foot. And then second one, Caleb got a great tip on the ball, and that ball just like went right in Owen's lap. And then he did a good job, and our kids did a good job of blocking, and he did a good job of returning it. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Back to kind of that defense as a whole, allowance 170 yards per game. We mentioned 2.2 sacks per game. Morrell leads with 4. Caleb Strong, sophomore, leading in tackles for the Greenbacks, and the 5 interceptions. Schmidt with 3 of those. Roop's got 2 on the season now. That defense, again, just continues to, when you have a defense so strong through these first 3 games, especially that front 4, front 5, those guys that can see some records or have those as their goals. Is there some inter squad kind of competition going on between some of those guys of who's going to get more sacks this game, or a little bit of fun with that?
Oh yeah, they were talking today, like, hey, Caleb and Blake, when are we going to get in on the interception party?
Yeah.
Or, when are we going to get in on the fumble cause, the big play? Obviously the hit stick every week's a big one. Everyone wants hit sticks. Ethan Steinmetz, I heard him say at practice that he's wanting to collect those this year, as many as he can. So anytime you can create that good competition and that attack, and I thought that was a lot of it too, that attack mentality when stuff started going, we talk about that all the time. That energy is just, that enthusiasm is just multiplier for everybody. And when everyone gets enthusiastic, then we talk about, it's like that, that bunch of piranhas that just want to go. And I think our kids have embraced that. And as long as they play with energy and enthusiasm, I think good things are going to happen for us all year defensively.
Now, we almost saw the shutout week 1 against Hoisington, saw the shutout Friday night against Larned. What's the tradition with D coordinator Anthony Brown and his defensive unit when they do pitch the shutout?
Yeah, he was worried about the price of eggs, because he told him a long time ago. His thing is always, if you get a shutout, I'll cook breakfast burritos for the team. And so he had a pile of breakfast burritos waiting there on Monday morning. And of course, my wife always does cookies, monster cookies for victories on Monday. So the kids, they were
boys
well
are
fed
eating
on
well.
Monday. Yeah, they were well fed.
All right, flip over to the offensive side of things. Offense looked good. That 70 points, not a lot of it put up from the offense, but there was some offensive production. The offense averaging 335 yards per game, 42.5 points per game. Now, 4 of those defensive when you throw those in there. But Tay Wilson continues to have a good night on the ground, or a good season on the ground for the Greenbacks, averaging over 7 yards a carry with 463 yards, and didn't have a lot of touches in that Larned game, just the way that game played out. But his 3rd straight 100-yard rushing game did come in that game, and had the long one. I had texted his dad Colin afterwards, and I said, "Well, that he picked the wrong night to have a highlight, career 76-yard touchdown run."
Right.
And Colin Strong, too, picked the wrong night, to get into the end zone, overshadowed by that night of Owen Schmidt.
Yeah. And then Colin was so excited. No, and it was, our kids were really excited for Colin getting in. Tay we talked about it, he's just steady, man. He doesn't get to, he doesn't care. I told him before the game, like, our goal was, hey, let's go single-digit carries, get over 100 yards, have a couple touchdowns, get a good night at work, and we're going to work on our passing game, and, you go be you. And, that's what Tay does. That's what he does every game. And I was really proud. Offensively, he's great every game. We know what he's going to bring. Defensively, I think he's even getting better and better and better. Both of those rips for fumbles, those are huge. And Tay's just that steady presence we know we can always count on. And he's just going to be a great ball player on both sides of the ball every single game. Colin, that was a lot of fun. He was he was like, man, I can't believe Cody missed it.
I know I
like,
apologized to
yeah.
him after the game. I saw him in the parking lot. I said, buddy, I got to apologize. We were just coming out of commercial break there, and it happened so fast. And it was coined over the weekend as the thick six.
I like it. I like it.
So he's going to have to do it again so we can get that thick six call on air.
Well, to be honest, we didn't block that very well. I've been teasing him because we have a couple really fast linemen, and Ethan Koger, Ethan Steinmetz really fast, Luke Gatlin, backup lineman. I'm like, hey, if you can't score and we're going to get these fast guys, we'll just move you. And he's like, I'm scoring. Like, give me the ball. I am scoring this. And honestly, that was probably our worst block play of the night, but he was drugged 4 guys in the end zone. He was not going to be denied. He was scoring that touchdown. It was awesome.
Oh, that's great. All right, now let's get on to a few more stats there before we get to the big storyline of that ball game, which was Owen Schmidt, and dive into him a little bit more. But Tay Wilson, you mentioned 6 carries, 109 yards, had 2 touchdowns. Creston Poor, 2 for 6, 67 yards through the big touchdown to Schmidt. Yasir Gonzalez looked great in that second half when that second unit came out and had 11 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. And then Colin Strong, his carry for the touchdown. That was set up by that big INT by Roop. And then also Levi Tebow, a notable, 6 of 8 on the extra point. Haven't seen that this season from the Greenbacks. So if I'd have given you that box score before the game started, and I said, you're going to have Owen Schmidt, who's going to have 6 touchdowns, 2 from Wilson, 1 from Colin Strong, and 1 from Yasir Gonzalez.
I don't know if that's how I would quite thought the game would turn out. Wouldn't have been on my bingo card.
No. All right. We've talked a little bit about Owen Schmidt's game. For anybody who didn't see it, I don't know how you have it now. I think that clip's got over 13,000 views now on Facebook of his reel of how it all happened. But had the 1 carry for the 16-yard touchdown, the 1 catch for the 56-yard touchdown, and then the 2 INT returns for touchdowns and the 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns as well. When I was going through the records again in that Pratt High book, I had the most touchdowns in the game, 6. That tied the Pratt High record. Tresner did that twice in the '94 season, and then Travis Tyson, Cadence Reiner also had 6 in a ball game. Most points scored by a defense. It was 14 in 1992 versus Russell, so the Greenbacks now hold that record. That was a total team defense, not by an individual player. Most points scored by a defense in a season was 28. So the Greenbacks only really one short of that. That was done in 2004 and 1992. And then the most INTs for touchdowns in a season was 3. So he's pretty close, knocking on the door.
And state record there, I think, is 4.
Okay.
And state record for fumbles in a season, obviously, is 2 by a team.
So the records that he didn't set in that one quarter has put him on the doorstep of really getting into the record book on a few more. And you said after the game, you had right away had talked with Chet Copeland, who does such a great job with the sports in Kansas. And he said, I've never seen a stat line like that in my life.
He was like, man, I've been covering a lot of games for a lot of years. And he was like, that sounds like a made up stat line. I was like, man, you had to be there to see it. It was crazy, all in one quarter.
Yeah.
Much less a game. It was all in one quarter, and he just bang, bang, bang. And so that's it. It was an unbelievable night. Super proud of that kid. He is the nicest. If you've ever been around Owen, just a fantastic kid in every sense of the word. And he was over it. He doesn't get too high, too low. He doesn't want the attention on himself. He was almost embarrassed by it, but Owen's just such a good kid. It's awesome to see great things happen to great people. And he's worked really, really hard last couple of years. So really, really proud of him for that moment.
Yeah, it was fun to be a part of, and I don't think it's a night we'll ever see again. No. Let's get on to awards now, see if we match up and what ones were handed out. I think we can probably both guess the player of the game. Our State Farm player of the game, hands down, went to Owen Schmidt for that performance. Let's see, did we move to our hit stick? We didn't see, you mentioned there was a couple that I think we missed based on who we gave it to, but since I felt so bad missing Colin Strong's touchdown, and he had to, he hit the hole, hit the end zone. We were trying to come up with a creative way to show him some love. So our Mead Lumber Hit Stick Award went to Colin Strong, and then our fan of the game, our Farm Bureau fan of the game, the class of 94 was doing their reunion there, and Shane Steiner was doing a live painting there on the track. And that was a neat thing, and we got something cool to show off here as well here in a bit. But so our fan of the game was Shane Steiner. How did your award line up with ours there?
Obviously, player of the game. I mean, the guy had a historic game. Obviously, that was Owen Schmidt. and he was great everywhere. So that was a lot of fun. Hit stick, we get the benefit of going back on film, and sometimes live you miss stuff. But Gavin Roop on Owen's second interception return, I mean, he really got a guy blocking. Gavin sprinted ahead of Owen after that pick, and he plucked off a guy, and he got his money's worth. Gavin also had a great hit on the quarterback on that first interception. So Gavin Roop got our hit stick. Gavin Roop also, talk about a kid that's grown and grown up, really proud of him. He got the offensive player of the game. We talk about Tay could be in the running for that every game. But Gavin on Tay's long touchdown run, if you watch after Tay get him, he sprinted all the way over, got in front of both of those guys, shielded them off so Tay could go the rest of the way for the touchdown. He had several blocks where he sprinted to get in front of a ball carrier. He was just a consummate teammate on Friday night. He busted his rear so his teammates could have success. So really proud of Gavin Roop and the way he's playing and how he's grown. Also had the interception, So he was our offensive player of the game for that. And then defensive player of the game, again, and take caused a couple of fumbles. Obviously, Owens are the game MVP, but I thought if you went back and watched film, Ethan Steinmates could have pitched a tent back there. He was in their backfield so much. I mean, he was an absolute terror. He was in their backfield, Larned's backfield, every single play. They just couldn't block him. He made so many plays happen. First drive of the game, they run power on the opposite side of him, and he gets a tackle for loss coming all the way across the formation and tackling a guy on a straight downhill run. He got off the ball so fast. So we thought Ethan Steinmetz just played an incredible game and gave it to him. And then scout team of the week was Gavin Giggy. He's a kid that gets in there every play, just tough as nails. Going to be a really good football player for us. Gets in there and sticks it out and plays every rep on scout team. And then special teams, Arlie, that's one thing we didn't even catch live. Arlie partially blocked that first punt. Yep. So he got a punt block. So he got the special teams player of the game.
All right. I mentioned we had another cool award, or not an award, but Shane Steiner. He had texted me. Let me switch my cameras here so we can show this off. Shane Steiner, we mentioned the live artist at that game, president of the class of '94. He had texted me Saturday, and he said, "Man, after that night that Owen Schmidt had, he said I did another painting for him that I want him to have." So he did this up here. Let me see if I can get it in here.
How awesome!
So we're gonna get this to Owen later in the week, or give it to you, and you can get to him. But pretty stinking cool,
That's
to have
awesome. Thank you, Shane.
Him take his time out of his busy schedule, do that. Not only did the one live at the track, but did that one just on his own Saturday after that performance from Owen Schmidt. So pretty cool. Just that's just Greenback Nation for you. It's a great example of it.
Yeah, we talked about that. But thank you, Shane. That is incredible.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right, let's switch back here, and then we will move on to Larned. All right. On to, not Larned, Chaparral. Yeah, Chaparral, a team that the Greenbacks haven't seen since 2005. Chaparral hasn't been in 3A since 2017, the last time they played 3A football. So bump up, and the schedulers didn't do them any favors with their schedule in the district that they put them in. I think our district is the toughest in the state.
And I think anyone, you listen to Chet, I think anyone will agree with that. We got, according to the rankings, depending on the rankings, 3 teams ranked in the top 5, and you got a really good Clearwater team, and you got Chaparral in there.
Yeah. So 17-13 all time. Head coach. I need to see how to pronounce. You thought it was Zaradnik. Head coach J.C. Zaradnik enters his 5th year as Chaparral's head coach. They're 1-2 on the season this year. Started week 1 with a loss to Kingman. Week 2 lost to Medicine Lodge, and then picked up their first win of the season versus Belle Plaine last week in a 21-0 ball game. Pratt's played them 18 times in their history and 12-6 all time against the Roadrunners. So last year seemed to be a rebuild year a little bit for them. Only had 4 returning starters, went 1-7. This year, more starters returning on that offense. And when you watch that offense, they like to air the ball out. It's an air raid attack style offense that the Greenbacks haven't seen yet this season.
No, it'd be a good test for us. They throw a lot of quick game too, a lot of bubbles, a lot of quick outs. And then they'll obviously sprinkle in some other stuff in there. Wide line splits we haven't really seen. And their quarterback throws a good catchable ball, just a nice, smooth ball. They get it out quick to their playmakers, and they got some athletes that can do some things in space. So it's going to be really important for us to A, be very disciplined, and then to B, to tackle well in space this week.
How hard is it? We talk about it every week this week of the season, homecoming week of the season. How hard is it to keep that distraction of homecoming and keep your players focused on the payoff that you've said so many times? You know, Friday night's the reason for the whole week. How hard is it to keep a bunch of high school aged, you know, boys and men focused on the distractions of everything going on in a busy week and knowing that you got a home football game Friday night and got to show up?
And you know, in a lot of years, it's homecoming's the bane of every football coach's existence. You know, our kids do a great job. Obviously, our school does a great job with it. You know, I will say this though: our kids have not really, you haven't heard much about it. They've dressed up, they've done stuff, but when it comes time, the day's over, practice starts, they've been all business. They haven't talked about homecoming in the day, what they're wearing tomorrow, all that stuff. They've just went and played football. So I think this group is they know what's in front of them. They know we've got a good start, but it's not even close to finish. You know, we're a third of the way into the season, if that. So they know we've got a lot of football left ahead of us, and that we've got to keep getting better. And we've talked about it all week. Like homecoming's great, but make the main thing the main thing. The main thing's the game. And guess what? The homecoming dance, all of it, none of it's fun when you lose homecoming. So let's win homecoming so we can have a great dance, so we can have a great weekend, and all of those things. So let's come out, take care of business, and then you can celebrate the rest of the weekend.
All right, Coach, we won't get into the X's and O's. I know you're not going to give them to me. So good recap on the Larned game, and we'll see you Friday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. No weather delays in the forecast for this week. Should be a nice night for some football. Come out to Zerger Field as the Pratt Greenbacks take on Chaparral Roadrunners in a homecoming matchup. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right.